Hello! Today we're going to talk about quadrants and how to use them.
This is a quadrant. We use these in environmental science to determine the size of the sampling area.
There are several things you need to use quadrants.
First, you need the quadrant. These can be constructed out of PVC pipe or string. Typically, quadrants are 1 meter by 1 meter, or in this case, this one is 1/2 meter by 1/2 meter. This means that in order to measure 1 meter area, you'll need 4 of these. Keep in mind, size is important based on what you are measuring.
A GPS is a good item to use to determine the placement of your quadrant. To determine where placement begins, typically you would use a map or start at the edge of the area of interest.
An average person's stride is 1 meter. If data does not need to be exact between each point, you can take 25 steps between each place, and that is accurate. Using this method, you don't need a measuring tape. I'm taking large steps because I'm short, but a normal person can take 25 normal strided steps.
A measuring tape can be used when you want to measure a particular area. This area can be measured out in the shape of a square or a circle, if needed. Then, this area is broken up into parts using a random number generator, and then is used to determine which parts are being sampled.
Normally, you want to document the species and take a picture of them. This is really easy. If you mess this up, you're
Quadrants are used to take a random yet representative sample of a population. They are set in a particular place in a habitat to look at a species within the quadrant and identify it. This is good for determining population density of plants or slow-moving animals.
They can also be used to monitor a species and its change and its habitat change over time.
Passive quadrant sampling means that the organisms found within the quadrant are not removed.
You have to be careful when sampling clumped or rare species. They can easily be missed.
Quadrants are not suitable for sampling rare species, but they can be adapted to sampling clumped species. This is done by using stratified random sampling. A random number chart is still used, but instead of after dividing the area, it is further categorized into columns or rows, and then a random number generator is used on those rows.
Data, as we discussed earlier, that should not be collected are rare species, seldom species, and species that have newly arrived to an area. This is not accurate data to collect.
This is not proper placement of a quadrant.
This is what you should not do with a quadrant either. You shouldn't do this with a quadrant either. Coastal area habitats, and where there is easy access to the habitat, are the best time to use quadrats.
Quadrants are also good to use on things that are fixed and not moving. Examples of this are a bird's nest, biotic life on ground, and other organisms that are stationary. They're also good for looking at the bottom of stream beds if the conditions are suitable.
Don't use them for dynamic sampling. An example of this is migratory animals, like fish.
Don't use quadrants if you're not in good physical health, as it can be demanding, and you can have a heart attack.
Quadrats are used because they are normally less harmful to most species when used compared to other methods.
Quadrants are important because they are adaptable for studying unevenly distributed populations.
Quadrants are important because they are easy to use. They're uniform in shape and size throughout distribution area. You can gather information regarding species dispersion and population size.
Quadrants are simple because they are inexpensive and do not require a lot of manpower. You can do a quadrant experiment with only one person. Additionally, they are easy to repeat and scientifically accurate when repeated multiple times.
Remember, quadrants are good for population density and distribution. They're crucial because of their low impact on species, affordability, and adaptability.
And remember, quadrants are fun and easy to use, especially if you throw them at people. Not that you should. Plus, they're inexpensive.
Thank you. That was our video about quadrats. I hope you enjoyed.